Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding regarding Jeffrey Epstein. In a September 2023 interview with Glenn Beck, you said, the Black Book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. In December 2023, you said, let us know who the pedophiles are. Even for a short time after becoming FBI director, in February of 2025, you tweeted, quote, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, we've reviewed all the information, we're gonna give you every single thing we have and can. But then suddenly in July, everything changed. You and Attorney General Pam Bondi released one video and said that there was nothing more to see. Your July memo says you uncovered more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence, but that you had decided no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That is a quote. I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question, so let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information, and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massey's question, you appear to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about the survivors, and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to invite
all investigative leads. Is the answer yes or no to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any people on your side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers, just look at the stats.
Patel,
and you talk about cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you talk about cover-ups.
And I will take as much time as I want.
Where were you during the Obama and Biden administrations when these so-called cover-ups were going on? Why didn't anyone in those administrations talk to any of these purported witnesses? I have welcomed every single person to provide credible information.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Washington.
And I'm going to take another couple of minutes.
When you accuse the witness of something, he's allowed to respond. That's how it works.
Listen, he didn't even, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you have always been fair. But this is not fair.
And you will get
no, this is my time, and he said that the witnesses were not credible.
Seconds of time.
I'm going to get an additional minute of time because that's how much time he took.
You won't get a minute. You'll get some seconds. What we think is under 5 minutes. You don't get to demand how much time you get. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing sexual trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm commenting on the evidence we have. But we have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence, and we will look at it. And the evidence that we have was the same evidence that the Biden and Obama Justice Departments had. And they determined, not me, they determined that that information was not credible.
Chairman, he's not letting me even ask my questions.
You ask the
ridiculous.
questions, he gives an answer. You may not like what he says,
No,
but that doesn't mean you get to
he's
interrupt
not answering
him.
my question.
Mr. Chairman, could we restore the gentlelady 45 seconds so she
We
can
will
complete
give her
her question?
additional 30 seconds, which is what I said
I'm
earlier.
going to keep taking my time because
you'll take
here's
the
the
time
thing.
that you get. You get
are
30
not
seconds.
answering the question. The question
I
is,
have. You just don't like the answer.
Are these women credible? It's a yes or no answer.
I have answered the question.
Well,
and
what
I
is
keep
the
telling
answer?
you, I'm the only FBI director that has welcomed new information in this
Okay.
case. This
You're not-
administration is the only one that has welcomed any new information in this
Is there
case.
a yes or no to whether
Present
the
new credible
victims are credible?
information. Present new
Are
information.
the victims credible
The victims-
or not?
I'll tell you what happened in the last Trump
Are they
administration.
credible or not? You can't even
Victims
say.
credibly came forward, and you know what happened? President Trump authorized the indictments of
President
Jeffrey
Trump
Epstein,
called
not
them
Biden,
a hoax.
not Obama,
President Trump
no one
called
else.
the entire thing a Democratic hoax. So I would like to ask
The
you
gentlelady's
if
time has
you
expired.
will
I gave her
meet-
the additional
if
45
you-
seconds she
if you
requested.
will
The
meet-
gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from
Mr.
New
Chairman,
Jersey is
I would like
recognized
to
for his
ask if
5
you would
minutes.
meet with the women who were sexually
time does not belong-
abused and raped and groomed
time does
at
not
the
belong
ages
to the
of
gentlelady from
14
Washington.
and
The time now
16
belongs-
years old. Are
the
you
time-
going to cover up?
No, I'm
Are
not
you
gonna-
going to
I'm
continue
gonna
to
recognize
cover
the
up
gentleman
for
from
the
New Jersey
rich
for
and
his 5 minutes.
powerful men, including those that might be on this committee?
I can yell
Or
too,
are
Mr.
you
Chairman.
going
I don't want to yell
allow
above
them
this.
to
The time belongs
testify?
to the gentleman from New Jersey. I
Are you
appreciate the
going to allow
gentlelady
them to
yielding
testify,
back.
Mr. Patel?
Go ahead,
Will
Mr.
you
Angelo.
allow them to testify to you, Mr. Patel?
Mr. Patel, thank you for being here. I know it's been an interesting and difficult 2 days. And I wasn't going to talk about the Epstein thing because there's a lot of other issues that affect the FBI, but I have to say a few words. I've sat.
It started like every other congressional hearing, a polished room, a lineup of officials, and a promise of transparency. But this one had a different flavor because sitting in that chair under the fluorescent lights and the weight of public scrutiny was Kash Patel, and across from him, a panel of lawmakers who weren't there to play nice, especially not Representative Pramila Jayapal. The topic, Jeffrey Epstein. The mood, combustible. And the moment Patel opened his mouth, the temperature in the room started to rise. Let's rewind. Kash Patel, former Trump loyalist turned FBI insider, was summoned to testify about the agency's handling or mishandling of the Epstein investigation. You know, the one that somehow ended with Epstein dead in a jail cell, dozens of powerful names untouched, and a trail of evidence that mysteriously evaporated. Patel walked in with the confidence of a man who thought he could spin his way through it. He had the buzzwords ready. Ongoing investigation, classified materials, jurisdictional complexity, the kind of phrases that sound official but mean absolutely nothing. And for the first few minutes, it worked. He gave the usual dance, vague answers, procedural jargon, and just enough legalese to keep things foggy. But then Jayapal took the mic, and everything changed. She didn't ease in. She didn't warm up. She went straight for the jugular. Her first question wasn't about policy. It was about accountability. Why, she asked, has the FBI failed to pursue the powerful figures connected to Epstein's trafficking network? Why have the victims been ignored while the rich and well-connected walk free? Patel blinked. He shifted in his seat. He gave a rehearsed answer about ongoing inquiries. Jayapal cut him off. No, she said. I'm asking why the names in Epstein's black book haven't been investigated, why the flight logs haven't led to subpoenas, why the FBI seems more interested in protecting reputations than exposing truth. The room went silent. Not because the answer satisfied anyone, but because it confirmed what most people already suspected, that the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Patel tried to recover. He leaned on the classic fallback. We cannot comment on active investigations. Jayapal wasn't having it. She pressed harder. She cited specific names, specific dates, specific failures. She asked why the FBI had ignored whistleblower testimony, why internal memos were buried, why Epstein's connections to politicians CEOs, and royalty were treated like radioactive material. And Patel? He started to crack. His voice tightened. His answers got shorter. He repeated himself. He looked like a man who'd walked into a chess match thinking it was checkers. This wasn't just a hearing, it was a public grilling, and Patel, he was the main course. Jayapal didn't just challenge him, she exposed the machinery behind his words, the institutional fog, the selective memory, the polished evasions. She asked why the FBI had failed to act on leads provided by journalists, activists, and even former agents. She asked why the agency had prioritized optics over justice. Patel deflected. He said the FBI takes all allegations seriously. Jayapal fired back. Then why haven't you acted on them? It was a slow roast. Patel wasn't being shouted at. He was being dismantled, line by line, point by point. And the heat wasn't coming from volume. It was coming from precision. Jayapal brought receipts. She referenced court documents, leaked emails, and internal reports. She painted a picture of an agency more concerned with damage control than truth. And Patel? He had no counter, just the same recycled phrases, delivered with decreasing confidence. At one point, Jayapal asked directly, "Why haven't we seen accountability for the people Epstein trafficked girls to?" Patel's response, a vague nod to jurisdictional complexity. Translation, "We're not touching the billionaires. Let's pause there." Because that phrase, jurisdictional complexity, is a masterclass in institutional cowardice. It's what you say when you want to sound responsible while doing absolutely nothing. It's the bureaucratic equivalent of shrugging your shoulders and walking away. And that's exactly what Patel did. He didn't offer solutions. He didn't offer timelines. He offered fog. And Jayapal, she cut through it like a scalpel. She asked why the FBI had failed to interview key witnesses, why evidence had been sealed, why Epstein's death was treated as a closed case despite glaring inconsistencies. She asked why the agency hadn't pursued leads that pointed to a network of enablers, people who facilitated, covered up, and profited from Epstein's crimes. Patel tried to pivot. He mentioned resource constraints. Jayapal raised an eyebrow. You have resources for surveillance, for raids, for political investigations, but not for child trafficking? The silence was deafening. This wasn't just a fight, it was a reckoning. And Patel, he was losing. Not because he didn't have talking points, but because the truth was louder. Jayapal didn't just expose Patel. She exposed the system, the culture of protection, the hierarchy of accountability, the way institutions bend over backwards to shield the powerful while throwing the vulnerable under the bus. And Patel, he sat there, sweating under the lights, trying to hold the line. But the line was already broken. By the end of the segment, Patel looked less like a director and more like a man who'd been caught in a lie he couldn't spin his way out of. And Jayapal? She walked away with the mic still hot. So if you're wondering what accountability looks like in 2025, it's not a press release. It's a congressional hearing where the spin doctor gets cooked on live TV. And the public? We're not just watching. We're remembering. We're connecting dots. We're asking why the names in Epstein's orbit still walk free, why the institutions built to protect us keep protecting them. Because this isn't just about Epstein, it's about every system that lets power rewrite the rules. It's about every official who hides behind procedure while justice burns. And Kash Patel, he thought he was walking into a briefing, he walked into a bonfire. Let's zoom out. Because what happened in that hearing wasn't just about Kash Patel. It wasn't just about Epstein. It was about the architecture of silence, the scaffolding of selective justice, the way institutions choreograph accountability to look like action while protecting the very people they claim to investigate. Jayapal's interrogation wasn't just a grilling, it was a spotlight, a forensic dissection of how power shields itself. She didn't just ask questions, she exposed patterns, She showed how the FBI's playbook hasn't changed in decades. Delay, deflect, deny. And when that fails, blame complexity. Patel kept repeating that phrase, jurisdictional complexity, like it was a magic spell. But here's the truth. Complexity isn't the problem. It's the excuse. It's the camouflage. It's what institutions use when they don't want to name names, issue subpoenas, or rattle the cages of the elite. And Epstein, he wasn't just a predator. He was a node, a connector. A man whose crimes were enabled, protected, and monetized by a network of people who knew exactly what they were doing. The flight logs, the guest lists, the sealed depositions, they're not mysteries, they're evidence. Evidence that's been buried under layers of legal gymnastics and institutional cowardice. Jayapal asked why the FBI hadn't pursued leads from journalists. Patel said they review all credible sources. She asked why whistleblowers were ignored. Patel said protocols must be followed. She asked why victims were re-traumatized by the agency's inaction. Patel said, we're committed to justice, but commitment without action is just branding. And the FBI, it's been branding itself as a pillar of justice while quietly sweeping dirt under the rug. This hearing wasn't just a moment, it was a mirror, a reflection of how power responds when cornered. Patel didn't offer clarity, he offered fog. He didn't offer accountability, he offered bureaucracy. And Jayapal, she cut through it with surgical precision. She reminded the public that justice isn't about press releases. It's about consequences. It's about naming names. It's about dismantling the networks that allow predators to thrive. And Patel, he left that room scorched, not by volume, not by outrage, but by truth. Truth delivered with precision, backed by evidence, and sharpened by years of institutional betrayal. So what do we do with this? We remember, we connect dots. We ask why the same names keep surfacing in scandals but never in indictments. We ask why institutions built to protect the vulnerable keep protecting the powerful. We ask why hearings like this end with headlines, but not handcuffs, because the system isn't broken. It's bulletproof. It's designed to absorb outrage, deflect scrutiny, and keep the machinery running. And unless we demand more transparency, more accountability, more courage, it will keep doing exactly what it's built to do. Kash Patel thought he was walking into a routine hearing. He walked into a reckoning. And Jayapal? She didn't just question him. She exposed him. She exposed the scaffolding, the choreography, the illusion. And the public? We're not just watching anymore. We're remembering. We're connecting dots. We're asking questions that institutions can't afford to answer. Because when the system cooks someone, it's rarely about justice. It's about distraction. It's about optics. It's about keeping the real rot hidden behind the curtain. So stay skeptical, stay curious, and never mistake a press briefing for accountability. Because real justice doesn't come with a mic. It comes with consequences.